Line of action, line of trust, different terms for the same fundamental concept. A concept that helped me to simplify the complexity of the human figure and that transformed my figures from stiff to finally alive. So in this video I'm going to break down what it is, why it's so important, and how to use it, with the help of some of the best drawing and animation resources out there. So what the heck is the line of action anyway? The most straightforward definition I found of it, it's in one of the best animation books ever written, an imaginary line extending through the main action of the figure. In other words, it's a guide, a blueprint that summarizes in just a stroke what the figure is actually doing. It's the very first thing that you see when you're looking at a figure. If you have trouble seeing it, just squint your eyes to eliminate all the unnecessary details, and there you have it, the story of the pose. Something that I want to mention is that even though it's called the line of action, it not only represents the action of a figure, but also its emotion. Let's consider a simple example. Let's have two characters pointing at each other and saying the same thing. Something like, I don't know, you. Not a great story right there. Same action, same dialogue, two very different results, thanks to just a simple line at the end. Just keep in mind that, as you saw in these examples, the line of action is supposed to be simple. Nothing more complex than a straight, a C-curve, or an S-curve. Let's break them down. Straight, the strongest type of line of action you can have. It communicates strength, a powerful thrust, something that wants to go to its destination as fast as possible. Just imagine you are in a rush and you want to go from point A to point B. You will take the shortest route, right? Possibly straight. And remember that straight doesn't necessarily mean stiff. They are two very different terms. Sometimes you just need a straight line of action because the story needs it. Now, C-curve line of action. It's a bit weaker compared to the straight one, but can still make your poses feel powerful and fluid at the same time. And the final one, the S-line, the weakest by far. It is used for more relaxed and fluid poses. Just look at this example from legendary animator Glen Keane. What you don't want to have in your figures are line of action that are too complex, like these ones. The story gets lost in all these curves and it gets kind of diluted. But the line of action seems almost too simple, right? Like, it doesn't tell the whole story. Well, you have to know that the line of action, the main line of action, is not the only line in the body. It is a great starting point, but to have the full picture, you have to consider also the secondary lines. For example, the line of the shoulders and the line of the hips, which are almost always straight, or the lines created by the limbs, like arms and legs. Okay, it seems that it's getting complicated all of a sudden, but it's really not. Because you see, these secondary lines are also called complementary lines. In other words, they have to work together with the main line of action and kind of complement it, accentuate it, make it stronger. Look at this example, which always stuck with me. Basically, you have 2 or 3 lines working together to tell the same story, all pointing in the same direction. But why is the line of action so important? Well, at this point I'm sure you already know the answer. Because it makes things simple. And this is the key. It simplifies the complexity of the human body, giving both you and the viewer clarity about what the hell is going on. Imagine to draw a complex interaction between 2 characters, like a fight scene, for example, and not having idea on how to communicate this story, how to make it clear and appealing for the viewer, and not a pain for you to draw, possibly. Well, this is when the line of action comes into play. By simply drawing 2 lines, you can start to have a plan for the poses you have in your head. From there, you can start to add the figure to it. Draw the gesture, the shapes, the volumes, add the details, but always following the blueprint that you gave yourself at the beginning, the line of action. And this works for any media or style that you can think of. Second reason why the line of action is so great, it makes way easier to exaggerate, add life, appeal, interest in a pose that has none of this. The example that made me realize this is contained in the Bible of animation. Look at how stiff this example is. Just a boring line of action with nothing to say. No story, no appeal, nothing. The result is a piece of wood. And now look at here. Just by adding a simple S-shape line of action, you can add more appeal and clarity in a simple standing pose. In other words, life. But how to find the line of action? I will shut up now for a bit and just show you some examples taken from real life and animated movies. If the figure is sitting, like in this case, just follow the flow of the torso and then the legs. As we saw, we have to look for the main long line of the figure. If you have doubts, just squint your eyes. This is going to eliminate all the details that you don't need. A question that I get is what to do when the legs are spread apart. I simply continue the line of the torso and see where the weight and the balance are. Even for figures that are standing, the line of action can be just a slight C-curve. It doesn't have to be a straight every time. For more complex figures like this one, just follow the head and the torso. With time and practice, you won't need to draw the line of action anymore and you will just be able to feel it. An important note is don't cram the whole figure inside the line of action. The line of action is just an indication, a starting point, a loose guide. Here, for example, the arms are not tied to it, but supporting it. It's a big difference. If you want to wrap your head around this important concept and see the line of action in any pose, at a first glance, I have some homework for you. Yes, homework. Just do what I did. Take some poses from real life and just trace the line of action on top of them. Then do the same thing, just with poses from your favorite animated movies or comics. And just pay attention at how the pros use it. Remember that the line of action is just a concept, a guideline, and not an hard rule. And rules are meant to be broken anyway, so do whatever you want. If you have more questions about the line of action, if something is still unclear to you, feel free to join my free art community centered around figure and gesture drawing with the link down in the description. And we'll see you on my next step.